Module 5, Payment Applications. This module outlines how to complete the payment application process with the department. Payment applications are written requests by a contractor for payment of services. The document is currently generated as a digital spreadsheet. A payment application template will be provided to the consultant to be distributed to the contractor before the start of construction. The contractor is responsible for inputting all the information as it appears on the agency purchase order into the Pay App spreadsheet. The contractor must complete this form accurately and completely to process payment. Some fields must match the agency purchase order exactly, or the entire Pay App will be rejected for corrections. On Sheet 1, these fields are the project name, contractor, address, original contract sum, and project number. Contractor and address are the contractor's APO name and address respectively. For these fields, there can be no abbreviations, omissions, or additions from what is on the APO. On Sheet 2, the fields that need to match the APO exactly are project name, item number, description, unit of measure, contract quantity, and unit bid price. Use the commodity line description from the APO to complete the description field. The first Pay App submitted will be numbered as 1 in the application number field. Subsequent Pay Apps are numbered in ascending order. The application date is the date the Pay App is generated by the contractor. The performance period is the start and end date encompassing the work and pay items for which the contractor is applying for payment in this application. Enter the name of the consultant's inspector who will first receive the Pay App for approval from the contractor in the Attention field. The net change by change orders is automatically calculated from the change order summary table and will always be 0 unless there is a change order. The contract sum to date is automatically calculated and unless there is a change order will match the original contract sum. Enter the sum of all previous payments received into the less previous certificates for payment field. Enter 0 if this is the first Pay App. The current payment due is automatically calculated and should match the contractor's bill for work. Only after the entire form, including Sheet 2, has been completed, should the contractor print, sign, and date the Pay App. In the Previous Units column, enter the total amount of each bid item that has been paid in prior Pay Apps. If this is the first Pay App, enter 0. In the Units This Application column, enter the units being billed for the performance period of this Pay App. For any items not being billed, enter 0. Most calculations are automatically made in the spreadsheet. The total in the bottom of column H, amount due this application, should match the current payment due on Sheet 1. The total at the bottom of column J, total completed and stored to date, will match the total completed and stored to date on Sheet 1. Once the inspector receives the payment application from the contractor, it must be stamped as received with the date of the receipt on Sheet 1. The inspector will have 5 business days from the received date to evaluate the application for grammatical, spelling, or calculation errors, to verify all quantities on the Pay App, and to either accept or reject it. For rejected pay applications, stamp Reject with the date of rejection and return it to the contractor for correction. Once the inspector has reviewed and accepted the pay application, both the inspector and project engineer must sign and date the application. All related material slips and photos shall be forwarded with the pay application to the department and a copy of all materials uploaded to AML.net within 1 day of acceptance. The department will review the application within 5 business days and, if approved, forward it to the purchasing department for payment. If any errors are discovered, such as quantities not matching the material slips or photos provided, the application will be rejected and returned to the consultant for correction. It is the responsibility of the consultant to work with the contractor to correct all errors regarding payment applications. To accept a payment application, the inspector will check for grammatical errors, verify quantities, and compile material ticketing, certified weight tickets, necessary receipts, third-party testing reports, material certifications, or any other documentation necessary for payment and auditing purposes. The inspector will also submit all field measurement photos verifying the quantities and materials installed with this ticketing. Any errors on the form or omissions of supporting documents must be corrected before submitting the pay app to the department. Here are 3 examples of supporting documentation for payment applications: a material slip, a third-party testing report, and a purchase receipt. The department is only paying for new unused materials. The ticketing needs to be labeled with the corresponding bid item for payment purposes. The material slip on the left provides an explanation of the quantities used. The document in the middle is a laboratory testing of grout completed by a third party. And finally, the document on the right is a receipt for the nuts and bolts that go on the back of the project sign. Everything is important, and everything must be accounted for. This is an approved payment application. The contractor submitted the payment application on September 30th. It was marked received and logged on the same day. If you receive an application electronically, use the date of the email. If you receive a physical application, log the date you were given the document or the date it arrived by mail. This application was approved within the 5-day review period on Monday, October the 3rd. A supplemental agreement is a written agreement between the consultant and the contractor with approval from the department to add construction items to the original contract. These additions are for unplanned problems encountered while under construction or necessary modifications based on site conditions that are required to properly complete the reclamation. All supplemental agreements must be initiated by the on-site inspector as outlined in the Supplemental Specifications for Construction and Remediation Contract. The consultant is responsible for limiting these unknown factors as much as possible. An example of a supplemental agreement would be to add a wet seal in the area of a previously unknown collapsed portal that is discovered during construction. A change order is a written agreement between the consultant and the department authorizing the changes to the supplemental agreement. A typical supplemental agreement change order process requires 7 steps to complete after the unplanned problem is initially discovered. The inspector will first notify the foreman or superintendent on site to stop work in the area until a resolution can be determined. Next, the inspector notifies the consultant's project manager and the department immediately by phone or email explaining the issue. Some issues may be resolved by the department by approving a solution via email correspondence without the need for a supplemental agreement. If this is the case, a site visit may not be necessary, and work may continue with the necessary changes. The next step is for the contractor, consultant, and the department to complete a site visit within 2 business days. All 3 entities will discuss possible solutions. The department will make the final decision regarding what solution will be implemented. The solution will answer 3 questions. Does the proposed suggestion make sense? Did we fix the problem? Is the service and cost fair to all parties? The contractor will then be required to send an email to the consultant's project manager and the department outlining the issue, identifying the proposed solution, and including the agreed cost from the site visit. The department will acknowledge the request by returning a signed supplemental agreement to the consultant's project manager for the contractor's signature. Once signed by the contractor, the supplemental agreement is now binding, and this step is complete. Step 6 is for the inspector to properly document the changes to be added to the as-builts, compile all email correspondence and photos taken, and include them into the AMLnet daily inspection. Work in this area can resume only after all these steps have been completed. If any steps are skipped, the change order will be rejected. Finally, the change order will be submitted and processed between the consultant and the department during the payment application process. You should now have a firm understanding of the payment application process. Please take a moment to compile any questions you have for this module.